Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita series for Bhakti Shastri and for everyone else as well. We will start with Mangalacharan. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. First of all, wishing you all a very happy Gaur Purnima and Holi festival. So it's being celebrated on different days in different parts of the world. We celebrated it yesterday. So wishing you all the very best, and it's a day when we should focus on our bhajan, make determination to focus on our bhajan more sincerely. So we will resume from where we left off. We are on chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, and we covered first 6 verses and the essence of the first, or where we were. So Lord Krishna first starts with saying that this is once again the topmost knowledge, and then he says we discussed the topic of Shraddha in detail, that is one of the key ingredients to understand Bhagavad Gita in a way that it actually works in our life. The benefits of Bhagavad Gita are actually available in our life when we read it or when we study it with Shraddha. And part of studying it with Shraddha is to have the conviction to apply it in our life. That is Shraddha as well. And that is included within the Shraddha. We had a long discussion about Arthavad last time, that fundamentally means that many people study Bhagavad Gita more like a very good book that they want to study, but everything that is said in the book is not taken at face value. It is either treated as exaggeration or, oh, it really doesn't work. That's not what he really meant when Krishna says this, and so on. And partly that becomes the reason for lack of application or lack of seriousness in application of the Bhagavad Gita. So one should try to see what is stopping someone or yourself, not someone else, yourself, from truly applying Bhagavad Gita sincerely in your life. And sincerely may not mean that fully, but at least you're making a very sincere attempt wherever you are. Making a very sincere attempt, what we call in normal language as doing your best. So everybody knows that are they doing their best, or they are just chickening out and there is more that they could have done. That part, I think to a large extent, everybody can clearly, if they are honest with themselves, they can see within their heart. So do your best to apply the Bhagavad Gita in your life, all the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So then it will begin to produce those results. Pratyakshagavamam dharmyam. So one can actually experience the results. Pratyaksha, it will become front and center. It will become manifest in your life. And Shraddha is a very big component. Then we went on to discuss that the Lord is inconceivable. So Bhagwan starts out by Bhagwan starts out with, we all know Bhagwan. Bhagwan means the great God. God is great. So Bhagwan starts out by explaining his greatness. So in 3 verses, Bhagwan is explaining his greatness. So I'm not sharing, I guess. No, that's fine. I didn't want to. Nothing was missed. Yeah. I don't have a slide which says that. So these 3 verses, 9.4, 9.5, and 9.6, are explaining everything that one needs to know from a greatness or Aishwarya standpoint of Bhagwan. So, in essence, what is being said is that the Lord is so great that you can never figure him out. If something is very great, very complex, very huge, it takes more time to understand that subject than something which is less. So Bhagwan is saying, I am so great that you cannot figure me out fully. So that is, in essence, what is being said in these 3 verses. We went over it last time, so I won't go over it again. And part of greatness or hard to understand is when there are paradoxes or very complex statements. For example, in physics, whenever there is the word paradox, at least, this whole quantum mechanics comes to my mind. In physics, the hardest subject is considered to be quantum mechanics. Part of the reason, not because it has big equations and those things, but it is unintuitive. It has so many paradoxes. I won't go into quantum mechanics or anything like that, but the point is that there are apparent contradictions. There are so many conflicting statements. If I say 2 equal to 4, that's seems a very conflicting statement, or some very weird statements like that. So similarly, we discussed last time, Krishna says, I am inside everything, yet I am outside everything. That's almost saying as if like 2 equal to 4 or something like that. In computer science, you can say true equal to false. It will never be the case that true equal to false, completely paradoxical. And when there are paradoxes, so like this that were mentioned, so that is first thing is it tells about the extreme incomprehension about Bhagwan. But when somebody does not have the humility to think that Bhagwan is very great and I am not capable to understand him fully, let me put that aside. Let me not doubt Bhagwan. And maybe at a later time, the confusion or these doubts will be resolved. That is the right way of dealing with things that we cannot understand. We should say that today I am not able to understand. It is my shortcoming. And in the future, possibly, I will either find a better teacher or a better resource, or maybe my own understanding will evolve where I can understand it. That is the right way to accept or to deal with paradoxes. But many people, when they see paradoxes, there is a sense of pride or ego that no, because I cannot understand it, this paradox means that this theory is wrong. If I cannot understand it, it's your problem. As if I am the most intelligent person and I am the gold standard for what can be understood. That is not the case. So paradoxes leads to doubts in the minds of people. And especially about Lord Krishna, who is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, unfortunately, he hasn't helped his case either. Everybody who knows about Krishna, his life is full of paradoxes. We call him Bhagwan, but he has been anything but, someone who walks on a straight line. Having affairs with girls in Vrindavan, stealing butter, using unfair means. Pretty much every big warrior that was killed in Mahabharata, the same battlefield where Bhagavad Gita was spoken. One can say, okay, he did those things in childhood. In childhood, everybody is naughty. But how come he did these things on the same battlefield? Killing of Bhishma, Drona, and Karna. The three biggest warriors on the opposite side were all killed by apparently unfair means. What to speak about Krishna, but in his previous avatar as Lord Ram, he killed Vali from the back. Apparently banished Mother Sita for no good reason. In other avatars like Bali Maharaj, in some kind of a trick, not avatar as Bali Maharaj, avatar as Vaman Dev, he tricked Bali Maharaj to take over his entire kingdom. So it leads to doubts that what kind of God are we talking about? And only those who are very serious. Now, blind submission is not being asked. Now, it is okay if one wants to just accept. That is point number one there. Two approaches to resolve paradoxes and not land in the minefield of doubts. One is to just accept. But for that, the shraddha or the faith has to be very strong. That this cannot be true. If I come and tell you about your father, oh, your father is a cheat, he is a thief. If the child is completely convinced my father is an honest man, whatever you tell him, he will just not accept it. He will say, okay, whatever you want to say, you can say. My faith will not be shaken. He won't even go look for a resolution. The second option is to go deeper into Shastra and resolve the paradox, or ask some people who know the resolution to explain or paradoxes have resolutions. All of these things that I have mentioned on this slide, everything, banishing Mother Sita, tricking Bali Maharaj, killing Vali, all of these people, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, everyone who was killed, stealing butter, having affairs with girls and women in Vrindavan. Everything has such a wonderful and extremely convincing shastric explanation. We just go by TV serials, we go by comic books, we go by hearsay, and we just believe, or movie songs. I don't know, what was that, some vulgar movie songs about Radha and Krishna, and all those things, and they become our Shastra. So for many people, TV serials, movie songs written by complete rascals and fools who have no knowledge, who are themselves drunkards and womanizers. These are the people who are writing these songs or books or scripts of TV serials. And we trust them rather than taking the effort to find out, to go to people who have spent their life in a saintly way to ask for resolutions. Everything has a resolution, everything. Giving a small example, I usually give the example of Karna. When he was being killed, I have read the Mahabharata portion of where Karna was being attacked by Arjuna. He was trying to take out his wheel from the stuck. It was stuck in a quicksand. And Lord Krishna asks Arjun to kill Karna at that time. And Karna protests. And at that time, Lord Krishna gives him a complete, reads out his, how do you say, reads out his charge sheet. Yes. That what all Karna has done. And he says that I have arranged this situation that your wheel will be stuck in the quicksand. So it is not like an accident or coincidence. I am basically tying your hands behind your back. When a death row criminal is executed, he is executed with his hands tied on the back. There is no match. He doesn't have to fight a match with the soldier or whoever will, the executor who will kill him. His hands are tied. You can say it is very unfair. The person who is killing him, he is free to, shoot the gun, and this poor fellow with his hands tied. We don't say that. That is because it is, the judgment has been pronounced that he will be killed. So Lord Krishna says, this is your charge sheet. And the judgment is that you shall be killed with obviously in a completely helpless situation. And Arjuna is just the person who will pull the trigger. I am the judge who is ordering. And Karna, when he hears the charge sheet, he accepts it. His face, it is written in Mahabharata, hangs down in shame. All the protests that he was making disappear. So it is, if you take the effort to read Mahabharata as to what actually happens when Karna was killed, and that whole finer points of the episode, you will realize it is not something like, unfair or anything like that. All the things that Karna did many things were very bad. In fact, Karna was the one who suggested to Duryodhan to bring Draupadi, who had been lost by Yudhishthir in the gambling or in that match. He's the one who suggested, bring her out and, drag her or something. He put that idea in the mind of Yudhishthir. Duryodhan. So not a fair, not a person who, he certainly deserved death penalty for that. Anyway, so that is how one should resolve paradoxes. One can always ask, what about Drona? What about Bhishma? What about this whataboutism? Then this person is really not interested in answers. All he's interested in is arguing. Then we say, Radhe Radhe. Thank you very much. We will see you. To be continued. Bow out and say no problem. You tell them TBC, to be continued, and walk away. It means they are not interested in answers. They are interested in arguing. So we cannot make Bhagavad Gita class or some kind of an argument into a whole item by item resolution on the whataboutisms. So that is the discussion on this. Any questions, you can raise your hand, but we will keep going on till then. So now for devotees, now devotees are also presented with these paradoxes and doubts. And all the devotees may not understand the details. But the point is, they are not interested in understanding, they have faith. Having been told, maybe if there is some doubt, when you tell them one or two answers, like I told about Karna, they become satisfied. Oh, this is the general nature. If I ask a saintly person or a knowledgeable person, I will get answers to all my doubts, but I'm not really interested in wasting my time. I am satisfied with just one or two answers, and now I am back in my bhakti. Then how do such people, or how should such people understand the paradoxical nature of Krishna? What are the general guidelines that one should understand? And all it means is that Bhagwan is so great that we should not try to understand every little aspect of the nature of Bhagwan, as to how complex, how paradoxical he could be. So, the next 4 verses, 7 to 10, explain how should devotees see or understand the paradoxical Krishna. As devotees, how we should approach, or who is Krishna for devotees. All right. So these 4 verses talk about who is Krishna for devotees. So we will start from 7. Sarvabhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshye punastani kalpado visjamyaham. So Sarvabhutani kaunteya, that, my dear Arjuna, kaunteya, all living entities. Sarvabhutani. Okay, so the first point is all living entities, prakritim yanti mamikam, that they enter into my nature, which means basically I am the source and the destination of all living entities. Kalpakshaye punastani, when at the end of the kalpa, at the time of destruction of the universe, they enter into me. At the time of creation, they come out of my bodies, of my body. Kalpado visrajamya aham. At the beginning of the kalpa, they again come out. So basically, I am the source of all the living entities. I am the shelter of all the living entities. At the time of creation and dissolution or destruction, they come out of me and enter back into me respectively. So I am the origin and destination of all beings. So that is the main point that is being said. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. So, another point is, the Lord doesn't do any activity with his hands or anything. Everything simply happens by his will. The only power that Bhagwan needs to use is his will, or is his Ichha Shakti, it is called. So, that is the first part of the understanding, 9.7. That I am the origin, or Krishna is the origin and destination of all living beings. The next one is that not just of living entities. Bhutani means Sarva Bhutani, it refers to all living entities. Not just that, but of the entire material nature. Everything that is not a living entity. Even so, 7 and 8 means living and non-living. Prakritim swam avashtabhya visrajami punah punah bhutagramam imam kritsnam avasham prakriter vashat. So, Prakriti swam avashtabhya, which means that this Prakriti into me, it enters, and visrajami punah punah, and it gets created again, which means it comes out of me, punah punah, again and again. Bhuta gramam imam kritstam, and this entire Prakriti, avasham prakriter vashat, that is under the vash, is under the control of this entire creation is under the control of Prakriti. So Prakriti is controlling the entire material manifestation. So Prakriti, we will see later in the next or in the next to next verse, is operating under the will of Krishna. So Prakriti are the laws of nature which Krishna only has created. So here it is saying that everything that is there is coming out of me and enters back into me. And while it is out there, it is following the laws of Prakriti. So the translation is, the whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. Then, 9th is saying that this Prakriti or this material world, the living entities are in the material nature. They are being controlled by Prakriti, the laws of nature. But he's now telling about himself, that he is not subject to these laws. So this is a very important point, because here, everything that is our understanding, we are living in Prakriti. So we think that these laws are universal. Like we say, the universal law of gravitation, Newton's universal laws of motion. Everything that is like laws of physics, in corporate language, we say, oh, it's not a law of physics. The whole point is that these laws, we take it as so rigid. They are our foundation. They cannot change. Speed of light, completely constant. So we take these as the most fixed laws. And then we say that, okay, everything else that does not conform to these laws must be wrong. There must be some problem in our understanding, or there is some loophole or something is going on. These laws are always true. That is why we add the word universal. Universal law of gravitation, for example, means it is applicable in the entire universe in the exact same way as it is applicable right in front of me. If you take an apple and drop it, it drops to the ground. In the same way, if you take that apple anywhere else, it will follow the same law of gravitation as it does right in front of my eyes. But Krishna is saying, I am not subject to these laws. That is the main point. And those who can understand this, or now again, understand is the wrong word, those who can accept this, that there can be a person who is not subject to these laws, then he will be at peace and he will be able to make progress in his bhakti to Bhagwan. Otherwise, he will be a permanent doubter. So that is what is being said in 9.9, that I am above these laws. So, na cha mam tani karmani nibadhnanti dhananjaya udasinavad asinam asaktam teshu karmasu. So, na cha mam tani karmani nibadhnanti dhananjaya. All these activities of creation and destruction of the universe and everything, nibadhnanti, do not bind me. So even material nature is a creation of Bhagwan. So all these nature, the creation, the laws of nature, everything that is there, nibadhnanti, Na cha mam tani karmani nibadhananti. So na nibadhananti. It is non-binding on me, my dear Dhananjaya. That is what is being said. I am asinam udasinavad. Udasinavad asinam. I am just sitting peacefully, neutrally. Asaktam teshu karmasu. Completely detached from this creation of mine. I have created this system. So Bhagwan's system is very perfect. It is so perfect, like a software which needs no bug fixes. We all write software which needs so many bug fixes, patches, and software updates. Bhagwan has created material nature and no updates are needed. It has no bugs. He is simply sitting like a perfect software engineer. One version 1.0, whatever he has created is just working perfectly as it is. And he has no need to interact or interfere with it, that something is wrong, I need to go fix it. So that is what is the meaning of the next two lines. Udasinavad asinam asaktam teshu karmasu. That I am not attached to this and I don't need to be interacting with this material nature. Now, it does not mean that he cannot interact. There is no need to interact. It is so perfect that there is no need for Bhagwan to interfere with material nature. But if he wants, he can interact with material nature. So he is sitting outside neutrally, udasinavat. So, O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. Okay. And in the next verse, he clarifies, even though it appears that I am not interacting, I am not disconnected. It's not like I'm not connected. I'm completely aloof. I don't even know what is happening. No. He says that Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Very important line. Adhyaksha. We say in Hindi, no, Adhyaksh Mahodaya. Adhyaksh means the director or the boss. Adhyaksh Mahodaya. Whoever is the supervisor. So, Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Under my direction, this prakriti is working, which means he is the director. And if he wants, he can interfere, he can change if needed, if he wants to. Because in the world, there are so many devotees. Now, for demons, for sinful people, also he does not, even though he says, what is that? Second, 4.8. क्या है? Cannot remember. 4.8.
Paritrāṇāya sadhūnāṁ.
So even though he says vinashaya cha dushkritam, that is not something that he is the main purpose of sambhavami yuge yuge. The main purpose is paritrāṇāya sadhūnāṁ, because there are so many devotees in the material world who want to relish Bhagwan's presence in the material world. So Bhagwan interferes with the material world by entering into it. Otherwise, he's peacefully sitting outside. That's why in Kali Yuga, now we don't see Bhagwan, because nobody is actually or very, very few people are devotees. So Bhagwan doesn't come to the material world so often as he would in the previous ages. So, but when devotees want to see Bhagwan, then Bhagwan comes. Every avatar of Bhagwan is by the call or by the request of some devotee or the other who requests Bhagwan to come, and then Bhagwan comes. So that is the understanding, that Bhagwan is sitting outside. The material nature is working. It is his creation, but it is working on its own because it's a perfect creation, like a perfect machine, needs no bug fixes. But one should not think that he has nothing to do or he has forgotten it. He's still the controller and he can come and interact whenever he wants. Okay. So maya adhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetuna anena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. So this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. All right. So that is the understanding. So this is how a devotee understands Krishna. If you understand this much about Krishna, it means this is all you need to understand about his greatness. Not the sweetness, the greatness. And basically this means everything. In one line, it means that this whole world is working under the control of Krishna. As Prabhupada has written many times, not even a blade of grass moves without Krishna's permission or without his desire. So which means he is the supreme controller. Okay, so that is the next slide titled Krishna is the supreme controller. In one line, this is the understanding of devotees about Bhagwan. And I have just given some references here of the various statements from these verses 9.8, 9.9, 9.10, which say that Krishna is the supreme controller. Prakritim visrajami punah punah. I am the creator of this entire creation over and over again. Maya adhyakshena prakriti. I am the supreme controller. Prakritim swam avashtabhya. I am the shelter, or this whole Prakriti is under my care or under my protection. And but he is not bound by it. Na chamam tani karmani nibadhnati. Okay. All right. So that is now one of that is how one should understand Krishna. Now a complete change of topic is occurring. Now we are going into the topic of devotees. Okay. So the topic we are trying to understand now is this is how devotees see Krishna. All right. Now, what kind of people are there? Now, some people may not accept Krishna as Bhagwan. Some may accept Krishna as the controller or just to the extent that he is some great person. And some may accept Krishna as their loving father or their loving protector, their maintainer. So what do various categories of people perceive or approach Krishna as? That will be discussed. So there are two fundamental categories. If you think about a spectrum, a line on one end and the other end. So first, Krishna will describe how do people approach Krishna. The first one is those who are demoniac. They don't accept Krishna as the supreme controller. Even though Krishna is saying, this is how you should understand me, there are a whole category of people who reject this proposal that this is who Krishna is. So that is being discussed in the first or in the next two verses. The faithless, the doubters, and the demons. So these two verses will describe, in spite of Krishna saying all this, they completely reject Krishna. So these verses are very important. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So avajananti mam mudha. That mudhas, the fools, avajananti, they do not know me. Even if they are told, they don't accept it. So end result is they don't know me. What do they think? They think that manushim tanum ashritam. I am merely a human, maybe a very powerful human, but just like a human, or just a human. Manushim tanum ashritam. I have taken shelter of a human body, which means I am basically subject to the rules, the same rules that humans are subject to, which means humans can be killed, humans have emotions, humans have some limited amount of power, and so many things. So basically, I am not unlimited, I am limited. Manushim tanumashritam. And param bhavam ajananto. They do not know my param bhava, my supreme nature. Ajananto. Mama bhuta maheshwaram. That I am the Maheshwara, the Supreme Lord, Maha Ishwar, Maheshwara of all living entities. So people do not know about my supreme position, Param Bhavam Ajananto. They do not even care to learn about me. Avajananti. If you don't know, then you should learn. If somebody is telling you, have an honest inquiry into it. No. But at the same time, they come to me for solving their problems. All the demons at some point of time have gone to Bhagwan. All of them. Ravan went, Hiranyakashipu went, everyone. Every demon goes to Bhagwan for either solving their problems or getting what their desires fulfilled. But they don't care to understand who he really is. In Hindi, we say, what's that saying? Apna kaam something. मतलब निकल गया तो पहचानते नहीं. As soon as your objective is met, then who are you? And not only that, but they easily doubt me when told that, okay, this great person has given you what you wanted, has resolved your problems. Now do some bhakti of him. He's actually capable of giving a lot more. Then they doubt, how is he capable of? Then they completely turn against Bhagwan. And they think that I am just an ordinary human, just like them. Maybe powerful, maybe more rich, more powerful, but ultimately in basic aspects, just like him. And such people are called mudha. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashritam. Okay. So fools deride me when I descend in my human form, in the human form. So, or in the human looking form, not human form, but human looking. It appears to be human, but of course, Bhagwan is not human in that sense, other than the form. He is Bhagwan, even though he comes in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. Okay. Then the next one. What is the result or what is the destination of such people? That is described in 9.11 or sorry, 9.12. Mogha asha mogha karmano mogha jnana vichetasaha rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shritaha. So Lord Krishna is saying that these people are completely, they are a gone case. They are completely hopeless. What all is hopeless? Mogha asha. They are baffled in their hopes. Mogha karmana. All their activities are bound to failure. Mogha jnana. Whatever jnana they have is of no use to, is of going to be of no use to them. Vichetasaha. They will always be confused. Rakshasim asurim chaiva. And what is their destination? They think that prakritim mohinim ashritaha. They think I was manushim ashritaha. I have taken shelter of the human body. As if I am a human. They will end up taking shelter of a rakshasa or a asuric body. Okay. So on the contrary, it's not me who is a human, but they will certainly go to a demoniac nature. Rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim ashritaha. So those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Yeah. So their grand hopes for a bright future are dashed. Their actions are all rendered useless. The knowledge is rendered useless. And they gradually devolve into a demoniac form of life. And they suffer in that situation. Okay, so this described those who do not accept the greatness of Bhagwan. And they are constantly doubting. They are constantly trying to make their plans, which become unsuccessful ultimately, and they don't get any happiness. On the other end, they are just subject to suffering. So this is the situation of those who have no faith in Bhagwan. Now coming to the other end of the spectrum, the pure devotees, the shuddha bhaktas. What is their situation that is being described? So the situation of pure devotees is Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritimashritah bhajantyananya manaso gyatva bhutadim. That Mahatmanas tumam partha. All these people who are the Shuddha Bhaktas, they are being called as Mahatma. Mahan Atma means a very, very great soul. Why? Because Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. They take shelter, ashraya or ashrita, of the divine nature, of my divine nature. So that, which means that they accept my divine nature as the Supreme Lord, as their father, as their protector, that everything comes from Krishna, everything is under the direction of Krishna, everything is happening by Krishna's will. So even if some suffering comes in their life, they treat it as, okay, it must be some plan of Krishna. Let me not doubt the plan of Krishna. Let me just go along with it. And at the same time, they don't forget Krishna. They lovingly do bhakti or service, devotional service of Krishna all along. So that is the other end of the spectrum, the devotees who fully accept the position of Krishna as he wants us to accept, as described in those verses from 9.7 to 9.10. So Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha Bhajantya Ananya Manaso. So let me go through these bullets. So my Shuddha Bhakta, these Mahatmas, are those who take shelter of the Daivi Prakriti, the internal energy of Krishna. The source of all this material world is Krishna. They take shelter of that internal energy of Krishna. And bhajantya ananya manaso. So they do with one pointed ananya mana. Ananya mana means with full absorption of the mind. The mind is not going anywhere else. Ananya. Ananya means no, not to any other place. Mana means the mind is not going anywhere else. It is fully absorbed in Krishna. And in that absorbed state of mind, only absorbed in Krishna, they are doing bhajan. And bhajan means Shravana, Kirtana, Smarana, etc. So the 9 forms of devotional service, or the 5 forms of devotional service, so many have been explained by our acharayas and spiritual masters. So with one pointed devotion, they are doing my bhajan. They are taking complete shelter of my divine energy. And gyatva bhutadim avyayam. And they never forget who I am. They never forget, they never think that I am an ordinary person, a human or something. They always are aware of Bhagavat Tattva, that I am their eternal father, their maintainer, protector, and so on. So they are always aware of this, and with this mood, they do my bhajan. Another verse. So this is mostly internal. Our acharyas explain 9.13 is describing the internal mood of the pure devotees. So when it is written bhajanti ananya manaso, the bhajan here that is meant is bhajan that they are doing through their mind. And one can say that from the Navavidha Bhakti standpoint, it can be called as Smarana, which means they are always absorbed in the thoughts of Bhagwan. Now, of course, it can mean some external activities as well. But the next verse is directly focusing on the external activities. So that's generally that's the distinguishing sort of, or the factor between 9.13 and 14, that 9.13 is internal, 9.14 is more external, but it's not like a rule, but that's just an explanation given by acharyas, and there can be certainly overlap. So external activities are satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavratah namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. So what are the meanings of this? Satatam kirtayanto mam. Satatam, always, kirtayanto mam, always engaging in my kirtan. So which means that everything that comes out of their mouth is kirtan of Bhagwan. Now kirtan doesn't just mean a singing of Bhagwan's bhajans or names. Certainly it is that, but kirtan means any discussion about Bhagwan. So kirtan is of 4 types: Nam, Rupa, Guna, and Leela. These are the primary, not the only 4, but the primary 4 types of kirtan. So Nam, Rupa, Guna, Leela, anything, all these are kirtan of Bhagwan. It may be musical, it may not be musical. It may be with others, it may not be with others. All those count as kirtan. It may include voice, it may just include mind. Kirtan through the mind is also possible. So all those things, but the more important point is satatam, always, kirtayanto mam, always doing my kirtan. And with what mood they are doing? With a strong resolve, dridhavratah. Yatantascha dridhavratah, they are making an effort. So yatantascha means they are making an effort, which means that Bhagwan is saying they are trying. This yatantascha dridhavrataha, for those who may be a little more curious or aware, is pointing to sadhana bhakti, which means that they have not perfected themselves yet. They have not reached the stage of bhava or prema bhakti, but they are trying. They are putting an effort. For a prema bhakta like the gopis, they don't have to put effort to do satatam kirtayantomam. That's just very natural. It will take effort to stop them from doing kirtan. That is what will take effort. To do kirtan is zero effort for them, but for us, it is requiring effort, or it requires some dedication, determination. So that second line is talking about sadhana bhakti. But at the sadhana bhakti stage also, one can be very absorbed, very, at least sincere, that to do my best. Now, of course, there are many fathers and mothers on this call. It doesn't mean you forget your family, you forget your children. So doing your best doesn't mean that, oh, today you are cooking for your child. Too bad. You should have used those 2 hours to do kirtan. No, that is not the meaning of doing your best. Doing your best means doing the necessary tasks needed for which you have taken responsibility, and whatever time is left, you do bhakti in that remaining time. For somebody, that may be the meaning or the definition of doing your best. So all that is included within Dridha vrataha, yatantascha dridha vrataha, with a strong determination, making an effort, a sincere effort. In their heart, they know they are not cheating themselves. That is the meaning. And then namasyantascha mam bhaktya. They are bowing down before me. Namasyantascha. So they are doing namaskar, but this is indicative of taking complete shelter. The same thing as the previous line said, Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha. They are taking complete shelter of me. Namasyantascha Mam. These devotees, bhakta, they are taking complete shelter of me. And in this way, they are nitya yukta. Yukta means engaged. So there is engagement. Engagement of what? Engagement of the senses. Again, it is pointing to sadhana bhakti. The definition of sadhana bhakti is what, according to Bhakti Samrit Sindhu? Who can tell? Come on, the Bhakti Shastri people. Yes, Shamlila Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, that bhakti which we execute with our senses and it leads to bhava bhakti.
Perfect. So sadhana bhakti definition is itself that which is performed by the senses. So nitya yukta upasate. So they are doing upasana or my worship, being engaged, and engaged here means engaged using the senses. Always. Always means to the extent where they are honest about it, that I am doing my best. That can be the understanding about nitya. Nitya does not mean literally 24/7. No sleeping, no taking care of family, no going to the job. That's not the meaning. Okay. Yes, Ram or Shrikar, you had your hand raised.
Oh, I was going to say something similar. Like the goal of sadhana bhakti is sadhya, which is bhava, and then you can perform the 64 limbs of bhakti as, yeah, those are the processes of, yeah, I was just going to mention.
Okay. Yes. So sadhana bhakti means something which is performed. Sadhana bhakti is a verb. Verb means it involves action. Bhava bhakti, which is the sadhya, the goal, at that point it is not a verb. You don't perform bhava. It is a state of being. But to reach there, you have to do things. Therefore, sadhana bhakti, bhakti is a verb. It's also a adjective or the state of being, but that is for the advanced stage. In the beginning stages, bhakti is a verb. Therefore, it's a valid sentence grammatically to say that what activity of bhakti are you doing? Or are you doing bhakti? In a simple way, that's a correct grammatical sentence. Are you doing bhakti? Because bhakti is supposed to be done. So this verse is pointing to sadhana, bhakti, doing it very sincerely, very seriously, dridha vrataha, which we call as sincere, serious, and nitya is the steady. So that makes it triple S. Sincere, serious, and steady. Okay, nitya. Or satatam. Actually, 2 times in this verse it is coming that it need to be continuous. You cannot have it like, okay, today I feel like doing bhakti, so I will do. Then I went on vacation for 1 week and forgot about bhakti. So you cannot take a break. Bhakti is not something you take a break from. Serious devotees must do it regularly, every day. All right. So we discussed the 2 ends of the spectrum. I'll expand this so it's clear. So 9.11 and 9.12, Rakshasas and Asuras. 9.13 and 9.14 is about Shuddha Bhaktas or Mahatmas, as it is called. Okay. 9.15 is talking about those who are making progress, but through some other path, not bhakti. And like Rakshasas, they are not 180-degree opposed to Bhagwan either, but they are somewhere in the middle. Okay, so what are those? Those are broken up into 3 categories. The progressing spiritualists. Okay, so that is what 9.15 is talking about. Jnana yajnena chapyanye yajanto mam upasate ekatvena pṛthaktvena bahudhā viśvato-mukham. So there are 3 categories. So jnana yajnena chapyanye yajanto mam upasate, that anye, so there are others. That anye is pointing to other people other than who? Other than the first 2 categories. First 2 categories means Rakshasa and Shuddha Bhakta. Other than that, those who are on the path of Jnana. So who is left? Rakshasas are eliminated. They are already discussed. Shuddha Bhaktas are discussed. What is left is those who are following the Jnana path. They are also, in some sense, worshipping me. Yajanto mam upa, they are also worshipping me, but in a different way. They all worship me indirectly. Okay, so yajanto mam, one must remember that one should not consider that they are opposed to Bhagwan. Opposed to Bhagwan is who? The Rakshasas are opposed to Bhagwan, not these ones. And there are 3 categories mentioned: ekatvena, pṛthaktvena, and pṛthaktvena bahudhā, and viśvato-mukham. So ekatvena, who see everything as one. Basically, who see everything as the one spiritual element, which is called as the Brahman. Then you can ask, what about the material element? They say that this material element is an illusion. It really doesn't exist. All that exists is the spiritual element, the Brahman. It is the fault in our eyes that we see. That's called an illusion. Illusion means what? It's something in our eyes. It's not actually there. For example, optical illusions. It's just a fault of the eye. Actually, it doesn't exist. Then there are those who worship the devotees. Pṛthaktvena bahudhā. So many other pṛthaktvena. So many other devatas are there. They worship them. And viśvato-mukham, that they worship, some other people worship the universal material form. So Bhagwan, it is true that Bhagwan, it's not true that this material element that we see is an illusion. It means that Bhagwan is present within the material elements. Sutre manigana iva. Remember the 7.7. So material world is real, but it is supported by Bhagwan. So Bhagwan is present in the material world as the universal form. Viśvato-mukham. Okay. Now, the Brahman aspect will be described in the next 4 verses, 16, 17, 18, 19. The pṛthaktvena bahudhā, or those who worship the devatas, the other devatas other than Krishna, that will be described in the next 4 verses, 20 to 23. So that's how the next 8 verses are. And the universal material, universal form will be described in chapter 11. Now, I just want to mention one thing for the more deeper people who are studying Bhagavad Gita more deeply, that there are different commentators who have commented slightly differently. they say, and it's perfectly fine to have different understanding. Okay, I personally have no problem with different commentators giving different understanding. It's actually, for me, I like it. I like to see different perspectives, as long as it's not shaking the basic foundation. No commentator should come and say, Krishna is human. That's my commentary. That we cannot accept. Then we have to reject it. We have to fight it. We have to, campaign against it. But as long as it is not challenging the fundamental aspects, if different commentaries provide a different angle, that is perfectly fine. So some acharyas have said that the next 4 verses, 9.16 to 19, are actually telling about the third category, viśvato-mukham, not the Brahman. Some say that these next 4 verses are actually talking about the Brahman form. That's fine, no problem. And of course, chapter 11 talks about the universal form. That's one sort of a little, what do you treat the next 4 verses as the Brahman form or as the material universal form? The other sort of difference is there is a hierarchy here. Brahman being the lowest understanding, it's like towards this side. So you're coming from Rakshasa, Asura, and then incrementally you're increasing towards Shuddha Bhakta understanding. So Brahman comes first, then Devatas, and then the universal form. Our Srila Prabhupada takes that understanding. One of the previous acharyas, I can't remember, but either Baladev Vidya Bhushan or Sri Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur takes the exact opposite understanding. That viśvato-mukham is the lowest, then comes the Devatas, and then comes the Brahman form in that ascending order. That is totally fine. Now, one has to understand the mood of the acharyas. Srila Prabhupada is a very strong fighter against Mayavad. So, taking that mood, he has taken the Brahman form to be lower. And he clearly says in the purport to 9.15 that material universal form is considered higher because at least they consider it superior to themselves and they surrender to it. With the Brahman understanding, they want to become one with Brahman. They want to become Brahman. So that is the objection that Srila Prabhupada takes and therefore reverses the order. Previous acharyas, I think it is Sri Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, takes the other understanding that the universal material form is still material and therefore it is the lowest. He's applying a slightly different criteria. So from that angle, that becomes the lowest, and the Brahman is completely spiritual and therefore it is the highest. And the Devatas are in the middle, or they are above the material form because they are the pseudo controllers of the material nature. The various Devatas control material nature, like Indra controls rain and so on and so forth. So in that sense, they are higher than the universal material form, and the Brahman is the highest because it is completely spiritual. So given different criteria, they have ranked it differently, and both understandings are completely fine. So that's just a side point on these on this understanding. So the translation is, others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge, which means the Jnanis, worship the Supreme Lord as, number one without a second, which means ekatvena, as diverse in many, pṛthaktvena bahudhā, and in the universal form, viśvato-mukham. So that's the translation given by Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Now comes the next 4 verses. So one can take it as universal form, one can take it as that Bhagwan is present as Brahman, in all pervading form in all these things. So I am everything. That is the essence of these 4 verses. Okay. So Bhagwan is describing about himself. In the first verse itself, 9.16, there are 8 instances of aham in one verse itself. Aham kratur aham yagyah, swadhaham aham aushadham, mantro aham ahameva ajyam, aham agnir aham hutam. Every line has 2 instances of aham, and Krishna is saying, who is he? Aham. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, that is the swadha aham, and the healing herb, aham aushadham, the transcendental chant, mantro aham, I am the butter, ajyam, and the fire and the offering, aham agni and aham hutam. So I am everything. So similarly, so there are 8 examples here, and total 39 such examples are given in 4 verses. You can see how much can be packed in few verses of Sanskrit. So next verse. So yeah, I don't have much slides for this. I have just said we'll go over each of these and contemplate carefully. And the whole point is to relish who Bhagwan is. Okay, so the rest of this chapter, as this chapter is called devotional service or the most confidential knowledge about bhakti. So how should bhaktas relish? So but there is so much to relish here. Pita aham asya jagato. So if somebody asks where it says Bhagwan is the father, right here it says Pita. Pita aham asya jagato. I am the father of the entire universe. Not only father, Mata, Dhata, Pitamaha. I am the Mata, mother. Dhata means the provider or the supporter. And Pitamaha, the grandfather. So I'm all of these. So you can see in your life, wherever Bhagwan has supported you, you can see that Bhagwan, there can be a sense of deep gratitude to Bhagwan. For devotees, many devotees will confirm that Bhagwan is so supportive of them. So many times Bhagwan comes and helps. There are so many instances. So one can have this deep sense of gratitude, just like a father or mother. Bhagwan comes and helps. For me, the association of the word Pitamaha, I personally, this is just my own meaning that I have made up. For me, Pitamaha means like father. Sometimes, grandfather is who? Grandmother or grandfather is somebody who spoils the child, right? Mother and father are like more strict with the child. But then grandfather comes and says, no, don't, scold the child. Be nice to the child. They say to the mother and father. So mother and father say, oh, your grandpa will spoil the child, which means that grandfather is more merciful than the mother and father. Taking that line of thought, who do you think we should associate with Pitamaha? Who is more merciful than Bhagwan?
His devotees.
Yes, his devotees. So in my own mind, when I read the word Pitamaha, I associate it or I connect it with devotees. So Bhagwan is definitely present in devotees as well. So in this way, you can relish that as each word you are reading, you can relish who Bhagwan is, Bhagwan or his devotees. Mata, Dhata, Pitamaha. Vedyam, Pavitram, Omkara, Rig, Sam, Yajurevacha. So he is Vedya. Vedya means the objective or that which is to be known from the Vedas, like sadhya. Sadhya means the objective of the sadhana. Similarly, Vedya means the objective of the Vedas. Pavitram, he is very pure, or the one who purifies. He is Omkar. He is present in the sound Om. And he is also the three principal Vedas, Rig, Sam, and Yajur. Next, 18. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasah Sharanam Suhrit Prabhavah Pralayah Sthanam Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam. So, I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. Suhrid. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. So, this one is very sweet. I am the friend of all living entities. We will never find a truer friend or a more caring friend. All of us have had experiences of friends who sometime or the other don't meet our expectations, or sometimes they don't behave as friends. Not with Krishna. Prabhava pralayah sthanam nidhanam bijam avyayam. So I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, and the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. Last one. Tapamyaham aham varsham nigrihhamya utsrujami cha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sad asajjaham Arjuna. O Arjuna, I give heat, and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality, and I am also death personified. Amritam chaiva mrityuscha. And both spirit and matter are in me. Sad asad chaham Arjuna. So he is Sat and Asat. Sat means everything that is spiritual is called Sat. And Asat means everything that is material is called as Asat. So last line he's saying, Sat Asat Chaham Arjuna. I am everything basically. Everything material and everything spiritual. Okay. Yeah. Amritam Chaiva Mrityuscha. So in one of my, I have many notes which we don't have time to go into. But Mrityuscha, Mrityu here is being referred to as a cleansing agent. Mrityu is not something bad. Mrityu is actually something good. Okay? Good for us and good for others and good for the society. Mrityu is a cleaning agent. The old things need to be cleaned. And for many, many people, Mrityu is a relief. We associate Mrityu with something very unwanted or very disturbing, painful, suffering. We wish we never die. But again, I have not experienced death, but I'm alive here. I have heard a lot of people say that death is a relief. So when one reaches that stage, death may appear to be as a relief for many. So it's not something bad or yeah. Okay. Yes, Ragatmika Mataji or Rajvidya Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji, quick question. This 9.16 to 19 is how ekatvena devotees see God. Is that correct?
Devotees see Bhagwan in all these things.
So this is ekatvena devotees only, or in general devotees?
Both. The devotees, primarily it is referring to those ekatvena devotees who see Bhagwan in this way, but it's not untrue or it's not false to say that even devotees, when they see the material world, they see Bhagwan in everything. Just like in the 7th chapter, Raso
Rasoham
Raso Konteya or Balam, what is that? Yeah, so
Yeah, so my question, so then my question is no more valid, because I thought devotees see God differently from how ekatvena sees it. But what we are seeing is now ekatvena and devotees, the pure devotees see God as one and the same.
no. Okay, I just want to clarify. The devotees know that there is a personal form of Bhagwan, which is the Supreme. Okay, and Bhagwan is present in his personal form, in his abode, and he is present somewhere or the other in the universes. His leelas are going on at all the time, and so they are fully aware and they fully believe in the personal form of Bhagwan. But when they see material nature, they see presence of Bhagwan in everything. So in that sense, these 4 verses are not rejected by the devotees. The ekatvena devotees only see this. They do not accept for various reasons, either because they don't want to, or they are unaware, or whatever else. They don't see the personal nature of Bhagwan. So they see, and they don't also see the personal form of Bhagwan within the material world. A devotee will see Bhagwan present in the material world, also in his personal form. How he is present in every atom of this material world. In his personal form, he will think. But the ekatvena devotees have no concept of form. They will say, oh, Bhagwan may have a form, but that is material form, and it is all made up. It is part of Maya. So that is how they may see that, but they see Bhagwan as the source of that material form as something which is formless, nirguna. And that is how they see the entire material world. So there are differences, but at a high level, both would see presence of Bhagwan, or I would say devotees see Bhagwan in the material world. The Brahmavadis see this absolute truth, the impersonal absolute truth in the material world. So there are some differences. But what I am trying to say is that the devotees do not reject these 4 verses. They understand it slightly differently.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Is that clear?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay. Now we will go into the next section, which is those who worship some superior entity, in this case the devatas, as as the controllers of the material universe. So that will be from 20 to 23. So there are people who worship others, other superiors who are controllers of the material nature. So primarily it means the devatas. So the verses, so this is a different meter. Traividyamam somapah pūtapāpā yaggir ishtva swargatim prarthayante te punyam asadya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. So those who study the Vedas, the Traividya, the 3 Vedas, and Somapaha Pūtapāpā. So this soma rasa or this soma juice is considered to be a very, very purifying drink. It is not present in this present earthly realm, but suppose it is even present, upon drinking this soma ras, one comes to the mode of goodness. So now some people portray this as some kind of wine or some intoxicant. That is not the case. Please remember, that is not the case. It's like a magic drink. You can think of it. If you get it, please drink it. Because what will happen is that it will bring you to the mode of goodness. It will make you a very, very good person. You will have good thoughts about helping others, all kind of envy, jealousy, all these thoughts, these propensities will go away from your body, from your mind. So that is the soma rasa. So those who have been purified, soma pah, on drinking, pah means to drink, the soma rasa, puta papa, and who have been relieved of all their sinful propensities by drinking this. And how else? Yagyair ishtva swagatim prarthayante. So, and those who are seeking these swagati means the swarga gati, who are wanting to go to the heavenly planets. And they perform these various yagyas and various sacrifices. Te punyam asadhya surendra lokam. They attain the surendra loka. Surendra loka means the loka of Indra, which is Swarga. Ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. And they enjoy a lot of happiness in that spiritual or in that heavenly planet. So the translation is, those who study the Vedas and drink the soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, they ultimately or they indirectly worship me alone. Mam, Trevidya, Mam. So Mam means by doing all these activities, ultimately they are worshipping me only. The same concept had been described in chapter 7 also, where Lord Krishna had said that those who are worshipping the demigods are worshipping me only, or the benefits that they receive are ultimately coming from me alone. So that was also incidentally in 7.20 to 23. Here also it is 9.20 to 23. So same, the numbering of the verses is the same in both chapters. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra. And by doing this, now first of all, it's not easy. Deep study of the Vedas and coming to the mode of goodness. If one does all, and by chance, if one gets access to soma juice, so that is also another. There are stories or mentioned in the pastimes mentioned in the Bhagavatam. What was that? চ্যবন Muni. I think in the 9th canto, there is the story where, the devatas come to him. I forget the whole story where, because, some girl ends up marrying him. He was in an old body or something, and then he gives soma juice to some Gandharvas or some personalities, and by drinking that, they are able to go to the heavenly planet. Something is there, but there is like mention of, or there is evidence in the Shastra that if one gets the opportunity to drink this soma juice, one should take it. It will take one to the heavenly planets. Now, for devotees, they don't want to go to heavenly planets, but in general, I mean, what I'm saying is that this soma juice is not something which is bad. It's not an intoxicant for sure. So, purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. So they enjoy this for a very, very long time. That's coming in the next verse. Okay. Yes, Rajvidya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, regarding this Somaju, I'm sure you must have got this question number of times, but so I was trying to understand. So Indra, there are a lot of kathas in Bhagavatam also where he was very envious. He did not want Pratha to become the person to conduct those 100 yagyas.
Prithvu
So
Maharaj.
100 sacrifices.
Mhm.
Prithu Maharaj, yeah. So if he is consuming soma juice and soma rasa, and he has also, you mentioned there are positive propensities, there will be no negative propensities. So why is Indra having these kind of things? And there is a lot of other instances where he got, with Krishna, he was envy of, he was that Govardhan Leela. So these kind of things, why did Indra do? He was consuming rasa and he was in the heavenly planet.
Yeah, very nice question. So one thing that we need to understand is that whatever is mentioned in the Bhagavatam or in the scriptures are exceptional scenarios. Okay, they are not describing the day-to-day routine life of Indra. The routine life of Indra is actually very good. Very good. He is a very good devotee of Bhagawan. Now, in the Bhagavatam and some of the Puranas where we see negative character of Indra is a extreme exception, and that is the reason why it made it into the Bhagavatam. All right. It's like saying that today all aeroplanes landed safely. Have you ever seen a headline of newspaper like that? Today all aeroplanes landed safely.
No,
Have you ever
Prabhu.
headline?
No.
No. But 99.999% all aeroplanes land safely. Correct? Only when there is a crash, then it comes in the headline. Correct? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like on a different context, like elections go very well. So the headline is like all the, the elections in all the places went very well or something like that. Sometimes.
Okay, well, that may be a headline, but when it is, when somebody accuses of fraud in the elections, that becomes an even bigger headline.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
So my point is, when anything is abnormal, then it becomes front and center. So one should not assume that all planes crash, or every time whatever is the highlighted aspect is the norm. They are the abnorm. They are the exception. So when Indra's character is shown as negative, it is only to show us that even such a pious person can sometimes become dissuaded or become influenced by negativity or negative propensities and fall down. Therefore, what to speak about us who are mostly not in such a pious state of mind as Indra. We are so much more prone to falling down, and therefore we must be very careful. So that is the message that one should take when we see Indra falling down, whether or even Brahmaji falling down, etc. All right. So it is not that Indra in general. So now, drinking soma juice, living in heaven among all good people who are behaving very nicely, who have all good qualities, the situation is perfect for Indra to be a mode of goodness person. And he is like that. But in an exceptional scenario, he may behave like, in a less than ideal behavior. And that is what we get to read in the scriptures. All right. It does not indicate the norm.
Okay, Prabhuji. So we have to learn from this that, that we should be careful. Like you said, bhakti is like that small diya, so we should not let that go. We should be very careful with our bhakti and sadhana, and
That is
not do things that may be offense and that may lead to offense.
Yes, and especially from these situations, that even such a pious person as Indra when he can get influenced by negative aspects, then it means that those negative aspects are so strong that they can even influence such pious people. The same thing, now I will put it in a slightly different way. When Lord Shiva, now many people have a lot of regard for Lord Shiva, much more than Indra. Now even Lord Shiva was attracted by Mohini Murti, isn't it? So what is the meaning? Does it mean that Shiva is an immoral person, or he is always, looking for associating with the opposite gender? Not at all. He's an avadhuta. He's so detached. He's so detached. So the 2 points from that episode are that even somebody like Lord Shiva sometimes can get affected by negative thoughts. And the second point to be understood from there is that Lord Vishnu is so beautiful that even somebody so detached as Lord Shiva gets attracted to the form of Lord Vishnu. So those are the two learning aspects from that episode. One should not think that Lord Shiva is some kind of a fallen entity. Similarly for Indra. Now there
Yes,
are yeah, okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. I mean, you were saying that, I mean, he's such a pious person. Actually, unfortunately, we don't get to read the good stories about Indra. We only get to read these kind of stories. And I am not sure if there are any, we have to, about
Not-
Indra, that he's a pious person. And, those stories are very few. At least I have not come across, I mean, I am yet, I mean, I am, there is a lot to read and study, but I have not been able to do that. So definitely I will try to explore that aspect.
Yes. So that is the right attitude. And for most devotees, our lives are so tiny. We can barely read full Bhagavatam once in our life, let alone all the other scriptures which we are supposed to read. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are other scriptures, not the bhakti scriptures, because whatever Indra is doing, mode of goodness and all, is not something directly, it doesn't increase our bhakti. All right. So therefore we focus on bhakti shastras like Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and so on, so many others which increase our bhakti. Our purpose is not to learn how pious Indra is, but it doesn't mean that those scriptures don't exist. In a lot of the karma kanda rituals, we invite Indra to be the one of the benefacting deities. He comes and sits and provides the benedictions that those performers of the yagyas are seeking. So there is so much glorification of Indra in those rituals. Now we don't come across it because we are not concerned about it. We are concerned about bhakti, but it doesn't mean that those are not present. Those are very much present as far as I understand. Again, I have not done a deep study or any kind of study about them myself. But they definitely exist.
Yeah.
And those who are interested in that line are very much aware. Just like we are very much aware of the glories of devotees of Bhagwan, like Prahlad Maharaj or Ambarish Maharaj. If I ask you, you can talk for hours about them. Similarly, those people will be able to explain in great detail about the pious nature of Indra.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Shrikar Prabhu or Ram.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes,
I just wanted to follow up on a particular aspect of the previous question. As we know, Vishnu and Shiva are permanent positions, but Brahma and all the devatas are material positions.
Yes.
But I'm confused as to how they're devotees, or how they're just automatically devotees versus, because they're still material entity, or they're still material in their material bodies.
So they may or may not be pure devotees, but this does not mean that they are not devotees or they are not aware of Bhagwan in their personal form. So what is your question? Are they not pure devotees? Are they not devotees? Are they not aware of Bhagwan?
Yeah, so I mean, clearly they're aware of Bhagawan.
Mhm.
And clearly they're interacting with Bhagawan, and I guess they're devotees. They are devotees, but it's like they were put in that position of being a devotee rather than naturally being a devotee. Do you understand?
No, I don't understand. If you read the prayers of Indra in chapter 27 of 10th canto Bhagavatam, very devotional prayers. So that is after Indra comes to his senses, after the Govardhan Leela, and he has been complete, his pride has been shattered. Very devotional prayer. And he will reveal so much about Lord Krishna that we may not be aware. So it's not like he's making up those prayers. He's speaking them from his heart. And that shows that he knows who Krishna is. In his pride, in that moment when the Vrajvasis, changed their worship from Indra to Govardhan, he got so mad that he lost control. We all lose control of ourselves. In impulse, we do things that we later regret.
Okay. So in the previous life, they must have been devotees of a particular situation such that they received this post in this life.
No, not necessarily. I don't know the whole theory of how one becomes Indra. But for example, one of the aspects, again going to Prithu Maharaj's pastime, is by doing 100 times Ashwamedha Yagya. That's the Yagya that Prithu Maharaj was doing, which is a mode of goodness Yagya. My understanding is that it does not have anything. It's not a Bhakti Yagya. And you get the position of Indra.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu.
Okay.
And then small.
And just to belabor the point a little bit more, you know who will be the next Indra after the current Indra? In the next, Indra changes on the next day of Brahma. The life of Indra is one day of Brahma. Who will be Indra next day of Brahma? Anybody know?
Bhishma.
No.
I don't know the predefined.
Hmm?
I don't know the next posting.
The next posting will be awarded to Bali Maharaj.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is mentioned in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh, wow.
Bali Maharaj, now what do you think? He's a pious person or he's a pure devotee?
Yeah, pure devotee.
Pure devotee, 100%, right?
Wow, okay.
So he will become next Indra. So there is no fixed criteria like that. Okay, and sometimes it is said, now not for Indra, but for example, for Brahma, if in a particular yuga or if the Bhagwan cannot find a suitable candidate, now for the next day of Brahma, suitable candidate has already been found. He's waiting, which is Bali Maharaj.
Right.
So that offer letter has been, given and it has been accepted. And on a certain start date, he will start the job, Bali Maharaj. So that is
specifically for this day of Brahma, right?
Huh?
Specifically for this day of Brahma.
Next day.
Next day.
Right? But Bhagwan says that if I cannot find a suitable candidate, I take the form of that particular devata and I descend.
Okay.
So it may be possible. It's like the CEO says that, hey, I could not find a suitable software engineer. I'm just, making a joke.
Yeah.
Then he says, okay, I will perform the role of this software engineer for 1 year.
Okay.
Because I could not find a suitable one, because the CEO is supposed to be able to do all jobs.
Okay.
So to say. So that's how it works. And this second aspect that I mentioned is coming from Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Okay, yeah. The Krishna appearing or Krishna becoming the devata or
Yes.
taking the position of the devata.
Okay. So
Thank you
that's
so much, Prabhu. Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
but these are all the criterias that are applicable.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Okay, 21. So let us, it's 7:48. Let's try to complete till 23, 21, 22, 23, 3 verses, which are talking about worship of devatas. So what was said in the previous verse, number 20, that how by doing mode of goodness or by studying the Vedas, one reaches the Svargaloka and enjoys there for a long time. But the most important point is that even when doing the study of Vedas, etc., to go to Swarga, one is indirectly worshipping me alone. So all worship ultimately goes to Bhagwan Krishna. Next. Te tvam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकम विशन्ति एवं त्रयी धर्मम अनुप्रपन्ना gata gatam kama kama labhante. Very important verse, which says that this swargalokam is temporary. It's not permanent. Te tam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam. This long time that they get to enjoy for a long time. Bhuktva means enjoyment in this Swargalokam Vishalam. For a long time they enjoy in Swarga because they have done such pious acts. But that is not the point. This verse is not here to glorify Swargalok. This verse is here to say that it is temporary. Kshine punya martyalokam vishanti. That when their punya is kshina, is depleted or is used up, when they have used up all their pious credits, martyalokam vishanti, they come back to this earth planet. Evam trayi dharmam anuprapanna gata gatam kama kama labhante. That those who seek this higher pleasure of going to Swarga, ultimately they go there, but they come back. Again, they have to work hard. They go there, they come back. They go there, they come back. So, gata gatam, they are in this hamster wheel. Ultimately, it's a hamster wheel. Okay? Kama kama labhante. Because they are only interested in sense enjoyment. So, this whole worship of demigods, and one of the ways to go to Swarga is by pleasing the demigods. And those are the pious activities. By doing pious activities, you please demigods, devatas, and you go to Swargaloka. So ultimately, it is a hamster wheel only. That is the point. But the good thing is at least they are doing worship of some superior entity. They are not just interested in sinful activities. Rakshasas are the one who are interested in sinful activities. The difference between sinful and pious activities is what? The goal is sense gratification in both. What is the difference between sinful and pious activities? The difference is dharma. One is dharmic or legal. One is adharmic or illegal. So one is you put in your effort. You go there by your own efforts. In the sinful case, you harm others. You encroach on their property and you try to get some sense gratification. The penalty of sinful action is way more than pious activity. Pious activity has no penalty, but just that the fruit is temporary. But for sinful activity, there is punishment. For pious activity, there is no punishment. You get to enjoy, just that it is temporary. Okay. So, but both are towards sense gratification. The goal, the end goal is sense gratification. One is legal and one is illegal. Illegal means shortcut. I want more money. One option is I work hard or I, start a startup or do something else, I get more money. The second option is go loot a bank. You will get a lot of money immediately. No need to work hard, but it is sinful. Once you are caught. Now, not if you are caught. In modern government, it can be if you are caught. But in devatas, you cannot escape. Yamraj, you cannot escape. Yamraj ke ghar der hai, andher nahi hai. So Yamraj will always catch you and put you in hell. Yes, Arnab Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I had this question that the demons who were involved in trying to capture Krishna, who was sent by Kamsa Maharaj, they got killed by Krishna.
Mhm.
Those demons, are they, you will consider them as equal to any other demon who gets killed, say, and goes to, like, Yamaraj comes and takes them? Or is it something special demon that Krishna himself killed them?
So those demons are very fortunate. And getting killed by Krishna is a very, very good fortune. Now, it's not that makes them devotees. Okay. But now this is a very, now again, there are so many demons to talk about, but many demons, the good thing is that they are thinking about killing Krishna, which means that they are at least thinking about Krishna. This is a very, very classic the whole thesis has been done in the Bhagavatam about this topic, about demons who are inimical to Bhagwan Krishna. If a demon is really inimical about Bhagwan Krishna, it's considered a fortunate thing, because such a demon is always thinking about Krishna, although in a negative way. All right. So again, this is a very deep topic, and but I hope it gives a sense, because always thinking of Krishna is not easy. One always thinks about one's own sense gratification, one's own self. So thinking about Krishna, whether inimical or friendly or in a submissive or a devotional way, both are better than thinking about yourself. Now, within those two, thinking favorably about Krishna as a devotee is far superior than thinking about killing Krishna or thinking about Krishna in an inimical way. So, but both those are far better than thinking about yourself. So many demons are constantly engaged in thinking about Krishna in an inimical way, and Krishna rewards them by killing them. But after killing them, they go to the spiritual world, just because they have constantly been thinking about Krishna, not about themselves. Now, there are other kinds of demons who don't think about Krishna. They are thinking about themselves all the time. And a good example, the contrast to many of the demons who were trying to kill Krishna and therefore were always thinking about Krishna, a good contrast from the Bhagavatam is King Vena. He was not thinking of Bhagawan, and he was a very demoniac king. And when he was killed, he went to a very long time to hell. And of course, he was not killed by Krishna. Krishna does not kill demons who are not invested in thinking about him. Krishna only kills those kind of demons. So these are the deeper philosophical aspects that one needs to understand. Does that clarify?
Yes, it does a lot. Yes, Hare Krishna.
And this is a very important topic of discussion. The whole 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam starts in this particular way.
Okay.
We will study it in great detail in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu discussion, which we will do in a year or so.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Okay, we are running out of time. It's 7:58, and two important verses are there. 22 and 23. I don't think I can do justice in the next 5 or even 10 minutes, even if I were to extend the class. So I will take up 22 and 23 next time and do a good discussion on worship of devatas. It's an important topic. Many people have many questions about it and misconceptions. Some go on either extremes, saying that, oh, devatas are like, bad people, or anytime you see a devata, you should just turn your face and never look at them. Some like very extreme thoughts. Or somebody, on the other hand, may think, oh, devata and Krishna are at the same level, and it doesn't matter who you worship, how you worship them, how you look at them, it's all one and the same. So both understandings are not correct, and therefore this whole topic is important to understand, and what Lord Krishna says about it. So we will discuss it next time. Any comments, questions today? All right. If not, are we meeting next Friday? Yes. So we will see you all next Friday. We will continue chapter 9. And tomorrow we will be doing Bhagavatam discussion. For those who are interested, we will be starting a new chapter, a very important chapter, a very underrated chapter, but of supreme importance. Chapter number 26 of the 10th canto, which is titled Wonderful Krishna. But there is very deep spiritual significance of that chapter. So we will cover that. We'll start that tomorrow.
So is there a qualification to attend that class?
What?
Is there a qualification to attend the Bhagavatam class?
Qualification?
I mean, can we attend, or is it like?
Yes, it's open to everyone.
Oh,
No,
okay.
Prabhuji, if you remember, we were discussing, you said 10th canto, before we read 10th canto, we have to study all the 9 cantos, and then only you can study 10th canto. We have not studied all 9 cantos.
Nahi, Mataji. So you are such nice devotees, and any that is said, but it is mainly said for the very, very esoteric aspects of the 10th canto. But we are not going into those topics. We are going into some of the very beautiful leelas of Lord Krishna. We covered the Brahmana Patnis. Earlier we covered few more, like the birth of Krishna and so on. Srila Prabhupada himself has given the Krishna book. And if you read the Krishna book, it is more than the verses of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There is more detail, there is more bhava that Srila Prabhupada has poured into the Krishna book. And Krishna book is distributed to even strangers on the street. It is the second most popular distributed book after Bhagavad Gita, is the Krishna book. So if that were to be the case, why would we be encouraged to distribute Krishna book to complete strangers on the street who may not even have heard the name of Krishna? So what is meant by that we should not read 10th canto and all? These are little bit, again, exaggerated statements or out of context, taken out of context. What it means is that the most esoteric aspects, the relationship, the confidential parts of the relationship of Sri Krishna with the gopis and all should not be, are not suitable for being explored by those who don't understand that Krishna is Bhagwan. And the first 9 cantos hammer it into someone's head that Krishna is Bhagwan. Once you really get it in your DNA, in your bones, that Krishna is Bhagwan, you will not think, oh, he's doing some illicit activity with the gopis or things like that. Then you will see that in a whole different light. It's not about what Krishna is doing in the Ras Leela pastimes or in the esoteric pastimes between Krishna and the gopis. The focus, the spotlight is not, by the way, in the whole of Bhagavatam, the spotlight is not Krishna at all. Krishna is a Bhakta Shastra is Bhakti Shastra and Bhakta Shastra. It is not Bhagavat Shastra. Bhagavat Shastra.
भैया आप आइए ना,
Mute yourself, please.
टिकल है।
Bhagavad Shastra means which focuses on Bhagwan. Bhakti Shastra is one which focuses on bhakta of Bhagwan. In the 10th canto and in the Rasa Panchadhyayi, the 5 Rasa Leela chapters, the focus is not that much Krishna, the focus is the gopis. And their mood and their seva of Krishna. The mood in which they completely serve Lord Krishna with everything they have. With everything they have, they serve Krishna. They don't keep anything for themselves, including their name or their title or their image. Everything they give it for Krishna. That is the depth of the love of the gopis for Sri Krishna. Now, this is not easily understood. In 2 minutes, it cannot be explained either. That deep understanding comes by reading the first 9 cantos. Okay, so these esoteric aspects, it is correct, we should not go in. But to read some of the other aspects like the birth of Lord Krishna, how Lord Krishna was tied by Mother Yashoda. We go to Damodar programs. Have you heard of Damodar programs?
Yes.
So we go to strangers' houses and completely stranger people. First time they may know about Krishna as Bhagwan, Krishna, Murli Wala and all those things, but they don't know anything more than that. We go and share Damodar Leela Katha to such people. That is 10th canto. Why should we share it? Tell me. And to be able to share, you need to read it. So not only we have to read, we share with strangers. Then we should not be doing that. So we have to understand that statement in proper context, that what we must study, the purpose of the 9 cantos is to understand clearly Bhagavat Tattva, that Krishna is really Bhagwan. Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. Now that understanding will also come just by reading 9 cantos. It may not come. You can put a checkbox. Yes, I have read 9 cantos. Now I am eligible. I have received certificate to read 10th canto. Fine. But have you really received certificate to go into Rasa Panchadhyayi just because you have put checkbox? May not be. You may still see Krishna as a illicit boy trying to take advantage of a simple village girl. Then you are committing a great offense. On the other hand, by really understanding that Krishna is Bhagwan and looking at the mood of the gopis as completely taking shelter of Bhagwan, even without reading all 9 cantos page by page, you will be fine. You are eligible to read the Rasa Panchadhyayi as well. So that needs to be taken in proper context.
Thank you, Hare Krishna Babuji.
Hare Krishna.
So safely I can say you are eligible, because I know you are such nice and fixed devotees. So there is no eligibility problem. Okay. And we are not discussing those topics at all. We are discussing very sweet, safe, so to say, non-complex topics. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.